Right, being team leader, it's challenging, but it's also very rewarding. There are no negatives; it's just positives from being a team leader. I basically was a volunteer for 2 years, and then the last 2 years I've been a team leader for Sundays. And what that entails is basically getting together a team of volunteers. I slept over more times than not last year, just because unfortunately some new volunteers in my team let me down. So I think it's very important if you're thinking of volunteering to come to the meetings and come to the volunteer meetings and not just email in and say that you're interested, and when it comes down to it you let people down. So but no, I've got a very core strong team that I've built up over a couple of years. So it's organising a team, finding out their availability. If they're new volunteers, we may say, well, just try a couple of weekends, a couple of Sundays, and see if you like it, and then next year develop them and put them down for more Sundays. So the first thing is obviously getting the rota together and people's availabilities. And then it's obviously matching people up with the right people. So I would always have an experienced volunteer working with someone who was new, for example, and we would never have two females. We'd always have a male and a female, obviously two males. So once the rota's in place, it's then down to me to just remind people what the job entails, and obviously to consider bringing certain things like earplugs, because people can snore quite a bit, and obviously get to the meal venue at a suitable time. So I will always get there first, and then the volunteers will turn up, and it will give me an opportunity then to brief them on the guests, because daily there is a report that's written in the morning, an email report that is sent to all the team leaders, so everyone then knows what is going on. So there may be a particular guest who is having some issues, and we're trying to address those issues, and then you're then prepared on the night that you're on to deal with those issues for that individual. And I always encourage the team, the volunteers, to not to have their Sunday roast at home, although it may be very good, but to wait and have the lovely food that's prepared and sit down with the guests and interact with the guests early on in that meeting. So part of the process is to obviously evaluate each of the guests each night and to make sure that they haven't been drinking too much. The odd drink here or there, usually doesn't go amiss, but unfortunately sometimes people have had a few too many drinks and are given a warning or given food and or strong coffee and not allowed in the night shelter. So I think everyone thinks the overnight volunteers, they're it's really difficult and it's quite a stressful time, but it's actually quite relaxing. It can be very rewarding speaking to all the guests and interacting with them. So everyone has a meal at a set venue. They then go up to the sleeping venue, and the guests all get their beds out, cups of tea are made. There's lots of cakes, biscuits, cups of tea, endless cups of tea, and interaction with the guests. So we always have 2 volunteers sleeping over. Lights out at 11 o'clock. The volunteers may take their sleeping bag along, and they do actually sleep. I often sleep very well. One of my friends, he sleeps better there than he does at home because he's got 4 young children, so it's quite good for him. They're a great bunch. They get into their routine of the night shelter, and it's good because you're only there once a week. It's good to see people develop, and so from one Sunday to the next, see how people have changed and how perhaps more positive they are. But it's also good to see people move on. So you do make some friendships, and it's very encouraging to hear of people's successes in getting jobs and getting benefits and moving on. So.